Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is July 18th, 2023. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. More or less just hanging out. I did work today, though. Full normal day. Real normie hours. Not too much to report, so that's good. That's nice. That's nice. I did get rained on, like as I got home. I was like, but luckily, hey, at least I'm wet at home. It's all good. That being said, yeah, today was a good day. Food corner wise, nothing really to report. I had Brenner again. It's kind of classic. Uh, Chocolate chip waffle, chicken, bacon. I remembered my toast this time. That was clutch. And some fries. So yeah, I ate a little piggy style. But yeah, things are good. We're vibing. We're chilling. I will say though, before I tuned in, before I got on, whatever, I was watching these streamers I watch, and they were doing this like food challenge that just had me enraptured. And I gotta say, if this episode's more scuffed than usual, it's because I just wasn't on my P's and Q's, and I'm sorry about that. But hey, I turned it off. I'm focused. You got me here for about a good 15 minutes. So I gotta get back to it. But essentially, they have to hit 11 fast food chains. So the place they go to has to have a drive-through, and then they have to get whatever the last order was. So this is like a marathon. I don't know, and I'm just so like this is a challenge that I like. Oh, I would be so bored for this. I'd be so good at that. Oh, I'd love it. But at the same time, I also realize how torturous that would be, especially if you get behind like the wrong car and you just have to get like the craziest fast food order from like a family of five. It's over. It's so over. All right. Let's see here. Enough of the gabby gab. I'm going to go ahead and do my classic startup, and then we'll go ahead and get into some news. Ooh, wait. Okay. Okay. We'll start off from CBS News. U.S. soldier believed to be in North Korean custody after unauthorized border crossing, officials say. So this was some spicy ass news for oh gosh, what is it? What is today? Is it Monday? That's Tuesday. Jeez, isn't it Tuesday? I don't even know what day it is. Jiminy. It's Tuesday. A U.S. soldier crossed into North Korea willfully and without authorization, and was believed to be in the custody of the country's forces. U.S. and international officials said Tuesday. The United Nations Command, which operates the Joint Security Area within the demilitarized zone between North Korea and South Korea, first confirmed that an unidentified U.S. national had crossed the border. Now, the soldier in question is Private Second Class Travis King, who had served time at a detention facility in South Korea and was released about a week ago to officials at U.S. Army Garrison Humphreys, the hub of U.S. forces in the country. Now, somewhere in the process of being escorted to the airport in Incheon near Seoul, he was able to break free, like get loose somehow. Like he, dodged his escort, was able to, maybe he was already in civilian clothes, already had some of his information. I don't know. Details are kind of scant so far on this part, but he was able to get into a tour group and, finds himself, in the middle of the tour, and he's just like, oh, fuck it. And he crosses the border. I'm not sure if this was. I have to believe that this was planned, at least to some extent, by this person. But let's see here. I wanted to get to a quote from like a witness. A person who said they witnessed the event and was part of the same tour group told CBS News they had just visited one of the buildings at the site when this man gives out a loud ha 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 and just runs in between some buildings. That to me is just so weird and so like that would throw me all the way off just to hear some guy go ha 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 and then just starts running across what you know is the most dangerous border maybe in the world. That being said, something I didn't kind of think about until I kind of started listening to other people talk about this story is it's like, what kind of fucked up shit did this guy do in South Korea that puts him in this situation that he's gonna break free, escape, do his little escape, and then flee to North Korea? Like, that man had to have been doing some fucked up shit. And being some of the shit I've covered that some of our boys do, our little Marine Army motherfuckers do in the States, I don't know, man. That shit kind of boggled my mind. And that shit really is what stopped me in my tracks on this shit. But, I'll definitely keep you posted on whatever comes next here. Also, a little bit of a drop. Maybe there'll be more news here, or maybe it's already out and I just haven't covered it yet. But Kim Jong-un's sister issues a warning saying that North Korean jets stopped a U.S. spy plane. So I don't know how real or confirmed that is. That's some hot off the press news that I caught while I was looking into this. A little bit of a twofer there, but yeah, man, shit's popping off, at the, what is it, the parallel, whatever the fuck they call it. Anyway, let's move along here. Let's see, from CNN, FDA approves antibody to protect infants from RSV. This fall, parents and pediatricians will have a new option to protect babies from a lung-attacking virus that is the leading cause of hospitalization in infants under a year old in the United States every year. So the drug is Nirsevimab. And it's going to be sold under the brand name Beyfortus. Now, even though this is, kind of branded as a vaccine, it's not a vaccine. Vaccines prompt the body to make antibodies to defend against pathogens. Instead, Nirsevimab, which feels like I'm saying something backwards, is a form of passive immunity. It's a ready-made antibody that can bind to the virus and block it from infecting healthy cells. The immune system doesn't have to make anything. So, that's neat. I'm sure that's something for maybe the anti-vaxxers who may be on the fence about, whether or not they should try this or not. To me, I'm like, hey, if this is medicine that's probably good for me, then I'm going to go for it. Granted, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the FDA is, super great, super perfect. It is a part of our government. So, it comes with some fucking flaws. But that being said, there's at least some level of research or whatever that, hey, this thing is not going to like insta-kill you. It's hopefully going to be something that's, good for you. Or at least something that you can put in your body. Let's see here. There's some other things to this too. I believe there's some alternatives where, like they can give you this, what is it? The other called these names are killing me. Palivizumab or Synagis, which has been used only to protect the most vulnerable babies, those born prematurely who are younger than 6 months. Trying to think if that's what it was I was looking at. But essentially it's something that they can give the parents. And is this the sentence I'm looking for? The FDA is weighing whether to approve Pfizer's vaccine for pregnant women that could also protect babies. In that case, the mom makes the antibodies which cross the placenta to safeguard the fetus and are expected to last through an infant's first few months of life. So there's those two things. And then also there's a third thing, which I didn't see in this article. I might have missed it here, but I heard it while I was listening to the BBC. But essentially, I believe it's the same kind of drug that they're going to be able to use on the elderly, which will also help them deal with RSV. So this was like really good news. I was selfishly kind of like bummed because like colds or something I get all the time. I at least get 3-4 colds a year. So like hearing that they potentially have a cure for a common cold, at least that's how my dumbass is interpreting this. It just sounds like, oh yeah, give it to me, give me that. But obviously, this is a thing that's very targeted to help, the very young and then also potentially the very old. So obviously, that's great. That's awesome. I'm glad that they are doing this because especially I remember hearing a lot of really sad stories about babies just in the worst situations, not being able to breathe. Like you're trying to get them as much oxygen as they can because they're just coughing up, and it's super sad, super bad. So anything that can help out the babies is totally a good thing. We love to hear it. We love to see it. All right. What's another story for me to butcher? From the WSB TV, suspect accused of killing 4 dead after manhunt. 2 officers and deputies injured. The man accused of killing 4 people in a Henry County neighborhood on Saturday has been killed. This is an update on the shooting that took place in Georgia with Andre Longmore, who was 40 years old. He died in a shootout with the police. He injured 2 of them. I believe 1 was shot in the back and transported to Grady Memorial Hospital via life flight, but he is currently recovering. Let's see, my internet or this article is scuffed, so I'm just not loading well. Up, maybe not. But yeah, that happened, and there's the update. Kind of closing the chapter there. More strong words from the sheriff. They like to do that. The monster has been slain. They say shit like that all the time. I don't know. Like I said, the more I look at the news, the less I like that shit. I understand it. I get it. This guy was bad, dude. Oh, that's why I wanted to get the scroll. I wanted to get the names of the people that Longmore had murdered, because obviously that's the most important thing. I do try to stress that. When I talk about these stories, it really is about the loss of life, in the people. And if I can always get the names, I try to do that. So, the 4 victims were Scott Levitt, 67, Shirley Levitt, 66, Steve Blizzard, 65, and Ronald Jeffers, 66. So yeah. That is the end of that chapter. We got one more thing to cover, and it is a lot lighter than murder. But I'm gonna take my little break, my little breaky. Oh man, this is really a comedy of errors today. Sorry about that. From Complex Magazine, Florida Japanese steakhouse shuts down after customers test positive for meth after eating at restaurant. Excuse me. Several patrons reportedly fell sick after eating at the restaurant's hibachi table, and 3 people later tested positive for meth. So yeah, this felt like some Fight Club story gone wrong. But then I remember this is Florida. Anything goes. So, I was less surprised. But a Florida-based Japanese steakhouse came under fire after patrons tested positive for methamphetamines after eating at the restaurant. U.S. USA Today reports that Nico Japanese Steakhouse in Pace, Florida, has shut down following the recent incident. Customers said they felt sick after eating at the restaurant's hibachi table on June 9th. After getting tested, 3 of the 7 people who became ill tested positive for meth. I cannot imagine, like, and they don't say that like these people had like a reaction outside of just being ill. So you're just like, oh man, I got some like the worst food poisoning from that hibachi place, and then you find out you're positive for meth. Like what? So this is obviously a big deal, but let's see. Local police opened an investigation into the alleged poisoning, but the case was closed and no arrest was made due to lack of evidence. The steakhouse issued a statement via Facebook about shuttering its doors. And this is kind of the sad part, maybe to me. I'm just thinking, like, from the view of a business owner, whatever, even though, I'm not going out of my way to root for, any kind of business owner or whatever. At the end of the day, though, you're trying to keep your shit alive, and it's a bummer that some crazy X Factor worker potentially is what, is your downfall. It's not like, oh, bad business practices or anything like that. Let's see. After more than 10 years of serving the Pace community, we have decided to close Nico Japanese Steakhouse. It was determined by Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office that there was nothing linking the restaurant to the accusations. And after a clear survey by the health department, we reopened our doors. We are so thankful to our regulars who came back to support us. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to keep the doors open. So apparently, even after they opened up again, they beat the allegations. There was no meth, at least, not legally. It just wasn't enough, even with the loyal patrons coming back. They're like, I don't care if there's meth in the sushi. The nigiri is just, it's so good. It just didn't work out. What can I say? But, man, yeah, I can't imagine. I was just gnawing on some shit, and the next thing I know, I'm like, oh, I don't feel so good. And the next thing I know, I have meth in my system. Like, that's crazy. That's not how I expected my, my Thursday night to go. So I gotta understand how customers might, maybe they say, oh, I'm not gonna come back. Maybe I'm done. Let's see. Employees thought a fellow worker had put something in the food, though investigators weren't able to prove this claim. According to the police report, the coworker was described as acting erratic on June 9th. Now, that's why I said Fight Club, because I'm sorry, if you're a normal meth user, you're not throwing your meth away on random customers. No, fuck that. I'm doing the job to get more meth. So you'd have to be some kind of chaotic agent to be like, no. Or maybe you're just on meth, and if nothing matters anymore, you're in Florida on meth, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna spread the love. I don't know. I really would love to get inside the head of this employee, who allegedly did this. But yeah, it was an interesting story. I know it's kind of like a week old or so, but I had to cover it before it was too late. That's all I have for today. Golly, thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry for the, another scuffed episode, but I mean, it's kind of on brand at this point. No, 200 and I think this is like the 58th episode. You know how this shit goes. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. I got to chill a little bit. Patreon.com/Isaiah News if you'd like to support the effort. That is, financial way is the best way. If I don't say so myself, if I'm keeping it 100, if I'm keeping it at a stack, you become a newsie. I shout your name out on the podcast. Also, I plug whatever project you're doing. A little link and build action. Let's see here. If you'd like to give feedback, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. That's the email. Also, feel free to follow the socials. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube. That is a good way to help. Thumbs up, high reviews. Those are always good ways. Leave some little comments. Say how much you love the show. Ask some fun questions. A question I actually will leave you with before I sign off, though. kind of related to the top of this shit, the reason for this madness. If I had you in the car, what are your 3 fast foods that you are down to eat? You will solo them, you will main them, you're going to be the carry on these 3. You tell me your foods, and I will tell you if you can ride in the car with me for my grand epic challenge, my magnum opus, my reason for being, my food challenge. You let me know, all right? That's your homework. All right, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.